Hi guys, it's Jan here again, and today we are going to continue with for each loop. In the last video we have started with for each loop, where we have looped through every cell in selected range. We have examined that cell, and if the number in the cell which was going from 10 to 50, or which could be from 10 to 50, if the current cell value was greater or equals to 20 but lower than 50, then we have highlighted the cell in red. And if it didn't fall within this range, then we have multiplied the current cell value by 5. So the result is whole lot of colored cells with multiplied numbers that are not highlighted. Okay, today we are going to continue with for each loop, but this time we are not going to be looping through cells in selection, but we are going to be looping through each worksheet on every opened workbook. I have opened 3 workbooks here. So we are going to loop through each of those, and let's say that we are going to insert every workbook name with corresponding worksheet names in these 3 columns, because we have 3 workbooks. Okay, so how do we go about that? As I said, we will also use for each loop for this task, but this time we're gonna have to use one nested loop inside. So this is the code that we are going to use, and to accomplish this, to make our life easier, we will have declared 3 variables: destination variable as worksheet, ws as worksheet, and wb as workbook. And as we learned in the previous videos, if we want some variable to hold a certain sheet, we have to set this variable. So here we are setting the variable destination to hold the sheet 1 on this workbook. There is a different method of assigning or setting the sheets in this workbook, and you can see that here in the parentheses there is a name of the sheet that we want this variable to hold, which is sheet 1, which is this one. But if you notice, this sheet actually has 2 names. One is the one in parentheses, which we have used here, and is the one that normal user sees when looking on the names here on these sheets. But VBA doesn't see those sheets under those names. VBA sees them under the names before the parentheses here, which is also sheet 1, but the difference between the one that is in parentheses and the one that is not is that the one which is in parentheses user can change. If I create another worksheet here, you can see that we now have sheet 2, and next to it is that other sheet 2 name. If I just rename this sheet to something else, then you can see that something else Sorry, previously I was showing a wrong workbook, so this is the correct one we are now in. Previously this sheet was called sheet 2. Now it's called something else. But this name in front, it's still the same. If I rename it just to something, this will still be sheet 5. So the one which is not in parentheses is so-called sheet code name. You can see here that in properties the name of the sheet has been changed to something, but the sheet code name stays the same. User can't change it unless he or she goes into this editor and changes the name here. So sheet, for example. Okay, I'm not gonna do that, but then this code name can be changed just in the VBA editor. So regardless of what user puts here, this name we can use in our code, so it wouldn't run into error once somebody changes the name, the display name of any sheet. So the different method of calling this destination sheet would be just type in here the code name of the sheet of sheet 1, which is sheet 4, as you can see here. Yeah. Okay, so just for fun of it, just comment this line and let's see if that works. Alright, going further, we're gonna need one variable for which we will select z, and we're gonna assign the value 1 to this variable. The variable will then be used further in the code. Then we will use the first for each loop. This loop will loop through each workbook in all open workbooks. And what the loop does is stated here. So when the code progresses, first this loop activates some of opened workbook. Then using a property name, we will put the name of the workbook in the variable VB name. Then we're gonna insert this variable onto the first column on the first row, and it will hold entry workbook name. Then we will utilize another for each loop, which is nested inside this one, and we're gonna loop through every sheet in the activated workbook, and we're gonna get its name. And then this just counts for us what is the last row on sheet 1 in column 1, and the worksheet name will be put into the last row plus 1 in column 1, because z equals 1 in here. And then the loop goes through another sheet. Z gets incremented by 1, so it's going to be 2. And I will now show you what will the macro exactly do. Sorry, I just forgot to, when calling the sheet by its code name, you can't use active workbook or this workbook statement in front of it. You just use sheets 4, okay, or any other code name from this list. Okay, so going further, F8, oh god, sorry, one more mistake. Apologies. Okay, so the destination gets set, z gets the value 1, and the loop starts. F8, loop activates the workbook, gets its name into the variable, places that name in this destination, and then loops through each worksheet. So first worksheet gets the name into this variable. Then we are counting how many rows is in sheet 1 in the workbook where we are placing this information into. It's 1. So the worksheet name of the first worksheet is going to be placed in the second row, last row, plus 1 is 2 in the first column because z is 1. So when I execute this, then the value gets populated and the loop goes to another worksheet. Takes another worksheet name and does the same. Okay, and so on and so on. I'll put a breakpoint here. I'll press F5. So the loop has gone through all the worksheets in this active workbook. Then z gets incremented by 1 and the loop continues. It activates another workbook and does exactly the same stuff. So I will clear this breakpoint here and I will run it all the way through. And you can see that on sheet 1 in this workbook you have desired information. Name of the first workbook, it's worksheets. Name of the second one, and it's worksheets. And the third one, and worksheets as well. Okay, so that was the for each loop when looping through the workbooks and worksheets. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope this found this useful.